Okay, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be replacing the blower motor fan on my BMW F20. Now, if many of you guys don't know, this blower motor fan right here ends up making a noise. Now, it is a common problem. Many of you guys don't know also, on the E90s and the E87s, the heater resistor was also a recall because it could catch fire. Now, what ends up happening on the F20, BMW did put a mesh underneath all the plastics on the windshield scuttle, but what ends up happening, leaves get in over time. If they're not clear quick enough, water ends up seeping in, then the bearings on these end up going bad. And then what ends up happening is you hear a very, very bad droning noise when you put the fan on the 4th stage, which is the high setting. Now, that isn't a good noise to be hearing. Therefore, you can just replace the whole blower fan assembly itself. Now, it's not expensive. I only paid £20 for this. What we're going to end up having to do is unbolt the old blower motor fan from the F20, and we're going to have to bolt on the resistor from the old one onto this. Now, I didn't get a new resistor, but the resistor could possibly be faulty and be the cause of why the blower motor fan is not working. But my bet is, and I'm 90% sure, it's actually the fan and the bearings have gone bad in it just over time from where water and leaves have entered. So we're going to go out to the car and we're going to start stripping it so we can get the old one out. So let's get on to the video.
What? Goddamn, get it done, will ya? Woo. When the blow up now, everybody's so unusual with it. Shit. But said times in his rhymes cause his memories. We running through New York so you know.
Okay guys, so now we're in the car and I've got the ignition turned on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the blower motor up so you can hear it. And if you can hear there, you can hear the fan noise coming through. I don't know if you can hear that. You can hear that faint rumbling sound coming through the dash where the fan is actually blowing underneath here. And you can actually feel the vibration on the dashboard as well. From where the vibration is really, really deep from the fan actually vibrating. Now that is the bearings. The bearings will go and cause a vibration throughout the car. When the bearings go, the whole idea of the bearings is not have that rumbling, the same like a wheel bearing. When it goes, it will cause a rumbling sound when you're actually driving along. Therefore, we need to get this fan out, and that's the noise it will be making on your car if it's faulty. So that is the sound you will hear. A lot of the time you can just clear the leaves depending on how quick you found the issue, but the majority of the time it's gonna need the fan replaced. So just bear that in mind. So let's get down under here and start disconnecting the whole fan and the resistor. Okay guys, so if you can see here, the key to removing this panel under here on the F20 anyway, is to remove these bolts right up here. Now I believe they're 10mm bolts. You can see them right there, and they're the bolts we have to remove. There's gonna be one there, and you've got one right here also. These are the bolts you're going to have to remove to drop this bottom panel so you can get to the blower motor, which sits directly above this panel here. So we're going to need to drop that. So we're going to go ahead and release them bolts. So we're just going to go here, and if you can see, we're just going to release these bolts. And they're not going to be big bolts either because they're only holding the plastic panel up, so just be careful with them. If you can see there, that's the size of the bolts holding the panel, so they're not big at all. Now we're going to target the second one, just like that as well. Then we're going to have to disconnect the plugs off the lights as we drop this panel. So now we've got that removed. What we're going to have to do is just pull down on this panel now, like that. 12 volt cigarette lighter, which is there. You're going to want to take out the light as well. And then that's the panel completely out of the way. Now if you'll see here, this is the blower motor itself, right up here. And it's held on by, I believe, Air Torx 25 bolts. You've got 3 of them, one right here, and another one around the back there. Now I might not be able to get you in to remove them, but you get the idea of where the blower motor is. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is leave it recording while I just drop it down so you guys get an idea of how to locate it and how to remove the bolts. And now if I'm honest with you, these bolts ain't held very tight, but I don't know why that is unless this has ever been removed. You can see here, they just turn straight out. Now this is the resistor up here. We're gonna have to take this off and unbolt it to pull it onto the new one. We will be disconnecting all the wiring as we will before we release the last bolt, because we need to do that. Now you need to be careful with the plugs here as well. As you see, that's one out. Now we can just pull the other one out. And if you are having problems locating any of the screws or bolts, you can just easily look at the new one that you're going to be installing, and it will show you all the connections. Now this bolt right here, you're going to have to be very careful with, because the way it's positioned is all the way over the corner, and it can easily drop down into the floor panel as well, and you don't want to lose any of the screws, because these are the mounting screws for the blower fan. Now if you can see here, I'm trying very careful not to drop that screw. We got that one. Now we just need to get one more, which I believe is round the back here. Okay guys, so if you can see there, that's the other bolt we need to remove, which is located right there. Now, as you can see, I'm not going to be able to get the camera there for you guys to see me actually remove it, but you get the drift of how to remove a screw, so I don't think I'm going to need to actually record that. That's the last one you're going to need to remove before it drops completely out. Now, you are going to have to release this locking club as well, and be careful of this here. This is the heat duct that is clipped on around the back of here of the fan, so you want to be careful that don't get stuck either or end up breaking. But the fan should just drop out with ease. Just be careful as it comes out, try and guide it out with your hand as it drops and lowers, which I'll try and come back and do, but I think when I release that screw, the whole thing is just going to drop anyway, so you might just see it drop down. So you'll see here now the fan's completely out. This is the old fan, and as I said to you, it would just drop out. It dropped out very, very easily without me needing to do nothing. This is the easiest one I've ever done compared to the E90. There's a lot of stuff in the way underneath, but this one has dropped out, and you can see how quite filthy this one is. It's got leaves still in it. I did try and carry them out from the top of the scuttle, but this ain't working. This is completely gone. You can hear it as you spin it. You can possibly hear it, but I can hear the bearings are gone on this completely. This is the resistor pack here we're going to be changing. Now if you see here, you've got your power switch right there, which is power and ground. Then you've got your 4 stages for the levels of the resistor, because obviously, if many of you guys don't know, this has got 4 level switch on it, so therefore it's got 4 blower settings, and that's what the 4 levels are for there. That's the 4 levels, that's your power switch. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is just remove this whole resistor pack and pull it on the new one. So all you need to do again, it's Torx 20, is just unloosen the bolts. Just don't get the bolts mixed up with the holding bracket ones. You just want to take them off like that. Now I just want to let you know you can buy a new resistor, and these ain't actually expensive. Just be careful which one you buy for the F20, because the one thing you don't want to do is try and look at the new part number on real OEM before ordering a new resistor, because the old ones which catch fire, and BMW did stop them ones being sold. But if the car never went back for a recall and it was written off before that, what can end up happening is someone took the car apart, not realised, and then just got it there and going to send it out to you. So do make sure it is the new part number and not the old one, because you don't want your car catching fire. Now we've released them bolts, now we've just got to unclip this from here, like that. And if you can see there, that's the whole fan now empty and ready to put the resistor in the new one. So the way I'm going to just guide this up is very simple. Just guide it up like that, and you want to make sure it just fits in position, which it should do, like that. And then what you're going to want to do is just hold it in, or you just lock it in, even if you get the first one in. Very important to get them in as quick as possible, and make sure it stays in place, because otherwise what you'll do is you'll have an issue where it will come out of place and not be sitting properly, and then you'll hear a fan noise coming out. So if you can see there, that's the first bolt in, but obviously that's not going to secure it because it's still wobbling about a bit, so we need to get the corner one in now. So now we've got the corner one in there. Next, what we can do is just tighten that one up. Now that's connected, what we'll do here, just reconnect all the plugs, which you'll see here as well. We'll just reconnect that one, and that's all done. Now we're going to go for the far back screw. So now to reconnect the cover, it's very, very simple. You just want to make sure all your connectors are back in into place for the lighting and everything else. Then a 12-volt socket right here as well, just a cigarette lighter. Then what you're going to want to do is put it back in position. And then put your 10mm bolts back in next as well to bolt it all back up. Okay guys, so now is the moment of truth. Now it's time to see if replacing the blower motor has fixed that annoying droning sound from the old bearing sound on the old motor. So let's give it a try. Let's put the ignition on. Now it's on. Now let's just rank it up. And would you look at that? There's no droning noise whatsoever coming from the blower motor anymore. And now we've got that on the coldest setting. Let's put it on the hottest setting. All the way up, let's turn the AC off. And there's still no droning sound coming from the car. So that is brilliant. That is a job well fixed. Now, the best way to avoid it ever doing that again is to make sure we always clean the leaves out the scuttle, which shouldn't happen again because BMW put the mesh in there to stop it getting in. But if some do get in, I will check it frequently and clear them out. This has gone long overdue, and what it is, all the previous owners have just left it and cleaned it every probably 6 months, and then it's just failed the actual motor. But now I've replaced the motor, I will be checking on it regularly, and that is a job fixed. So the only thing I do advise you on is when you're down here replacing the blower motor, do be careful not to over tighten the bolts for tightening back up the blower motor, because if you over tighten them, the fan will not turn on because it jams it and it ain't got no space to actually get air into. So therefore the fan motor will not start in for risk to cause a fire because there's no place for it to ventilate. So do not over tighten the bolts to the actual climate control unit itself at the rear here to the vents. So that's how easy it is to actually replace your blower motor on your F20, E90, E87 and your F30. Okay guys, so as you've seen there, I've now shown you how to replace the blower motor on your BMW F20, F30, E90 and your E87. The position of the blower motor is located on all the cars, so it's therefore not only located on the F20, just on the F20 there's less bolts to actually remove to get to the panel, to get to the blower motor. It is very, very simple. You saw it yourself, I literally just removed the 3 screws and the whole thing just dropped straight down for me with ease to put the new one in. That is how simple BMW make it to actually replace the blower motor. Now I know other cars like Ford and Vauxhall, the blower motor is built into the back of the climate control panel and you have to take out the whole dash just to get that if that goes wrong. But BMW being clever enough, they put it right there where it's replaceable, so very, very clever. Okay, they're not so clever to have leaves falling down to the scuttle into it, but at the same time, you can easily rectify that with ease. And it takes literally 2 seconds to actually get to that blower motor and just clear out the leaves. So if you are having this issue or a droning sound, it will be leaves in your actual blower motor, or you could even have a pigeon nest. So I hope this video is going to help a lot of you guys with this issue. Thank you very much for watching. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.